And maybe this is an accelerated process. Please, God, make it an accelerated process. But we go through those stages again and again and again and again, and we find what do I sound like? And what am I going to do with that? What do I even want to do with that? I didn't like the sound of my voice. It sounded horrible. I interviewed a lot of people right after Phil died, and one of the questions I asked them over and over again was, did you wear black after, at any period, for any period of time, did you wear black? I asked 30 people this question. 29 of them said, almost, they didn't exactly say this, but it was close. Hell no. Hell no, I didn't. And I started thinking to myself, wow, nobody else but me? I wore black for 6 weeks after my husband died because I couldn't speak. And the black spoke for me. It spoke everything I couldn't say. And but I told myself, I know myself, and I thought I could get wildly swamped in that. And I said, you've got 6 weeks. End of 6 weeks, you're going to put some color on. And I picked a red shirt, and it had sparkles on it. I hung it in my closet. And I mean, let me just say to you, this was not a great plan. It's not like I said, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to grieve like this. It just occurred to me. I knew I needed to wear black. I knew myself well enough that if I didn't give myself a deadline, I was going to get swamped in black and stay there forever. And so I hung that red shirt intentionally and said, you are going to wear that at the end of 6 weeks. You're going back to work, and you're going to wear that shirt. And every time I looked at that shirt, I thought, I'm still cocooned. I'm still cocooned. I don't have to do that yet. But I knew the day was coming. And on that day, when I put on that red shirt, that's when I began to find my voice. It was a slow process. But what I found was when I butted my voice up against other widowed people, I could hear it back. And when I heard it back, I didn't hate it. I hated my voice. And it was the first time in my life that I'd ever not wanted to hear myself speak. Maybe you've noticed that. Clearly, I've gotten it back. But it was the first time in my life I didn't want to. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to speak it. I didn't want to do this. In fact, that's the very thing I said. I don't want to do this. I don't know. I probably said it 150 times while I'm sitting next to my dead husband's body. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Please don't make me do this. I don't want to do this. That's the only thing I want to hear from myself. When I met other widowed people, suddenly I thought, you did it? You made it through that? You lost your voice and you can speak and I can hear you? And your voice is not grating on my ears like a cheese grater? Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. Because that's how my voice sounded to me in its solo phase. When I couldn't hear the reflection of someone else with me, I didn't like what I heard and I wanted to just shut it off. Do you know what Then what happened? I let other people speak for me. People I didn't know well. People I didn't even particularly like, to be quite frank. Why did I do that? Never in my life had I been in a place where I thought, oh, sure, you can speak for me. Could you tell so-and-so whatever it is I want to say? Because I can't speak. When the fence guy said, the fence in the backyard blew down, because of course it did, right? I was widowed. Everything breaks. When the fence blew down and the fence guy came, I thought, okay, I'm supposed to get 3 estimates, right? You're supposed to get 3 estimates. I got 3 fence people to come and tell me. And he says, what would you like? A 5-year fence? A 10-year fence? Or a 25-year fence? And I thought, what I'd really like is to punch you in the face. How the hell am I supposed to know how long my fence is going to last? But it was the classic, seriously? And the poor man, he had no idea. He's asking the question. That's what you ask. So I'm willing to go to the next door neighbor and say, what, do I want a 5-year or a 15-year or a 25-year fence? What the hell does the next door neighbor know? I didn't even know him that well. But I was willing to give away my voice because I wanted someone else to speak. I didn't want to do it. And so as I grew through my widowhood, what I came to realize is that there's a new timbre to my voice. It's deeper. And maybe you know that. Maybe you can feel that in your own voice. It's deeper and it has a weight that it's never had before. And yeah, it's hard won, right? I mean, I'd like to go back to a really high soprano if we could make that happen. But there's no way to unlearn what you know. You didn't ask for it. You didn't ask to be born the first time. And we didn't ask to be born the second time into this life that we didn't ask for, we didn't choose, and we would give up if we could. And slowly, 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 as you step into your voice, as your voice it starts to actually go, hey, not so bad. When that happens, that's when you say to yourself, actually, I'm pretty great. It happens. I know that some of you are sitting there looking at me thinking, lady, you are crazy. Well, guess what? You're not alone. Lots of people think I'm crazy. But it does happen. I promise you, it does. And what you have to allow yourself is the opportunity to find your voice, to know that how it sounds today does not have to be how it's always going to sound. If you are laying on the floor, bawling your eyes out, and you think, who is that person? I don't know that person. Allow that voice. Allow that voice. You need it. Obviously, it needs to come out. And when you allow it to come out, it is the process by which that voice changes. It's the process by which you find out who you are now, because you are reborn. You're not the same person. You can't unlearn what you know. So my daughter came home late one day, and I was in a panic. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Full tilt panic. Really no reason. She was late. But you know where I went, right? Y'all know where I went. And she said, Mom, why can't you let it go? And I said, because I can't unlearn what I know. Because people aren't supposed to die. I know we're all going to die. But still, even now, even when I know, I still think, not somebody else, not again. Really? But you can't unlearn what you know. And so we have to learn to live with that. And when I say we have to learn to live with that, I mean we have to learn to live with that. Because when we shrink our world, our fear becomes the only thing we can see. And if I say to my children, you can't go out because I'm afraid you won't come back, how narrow is their world going to be? And if I say to myself, I can't live because the person who I was going to spend the rest of my life with is dead, I just want you to imagine this. How narrow is your world going to be? You didn't ask for it. Nobody asked you if it was okay. But there's no way to change it. And we have the opportunity to live if we take it. And not only to live, but to take our voice first, our own voice. First, what is that voice? Where do I find it? And I wish I could tell you the answer. I do. But I can't. Because only you know. And if you are willing to trust the process of walking those steps wherever they take you, let me just say this. When I was an aerobics instructor in this hotel, this very hotel, 20 years ago, never in a million years did I think my steps were going to bring me here. Never. I would have been like, right. So you don't know where your steps are going to take you. Widowhood has altered your course. You were headed this way. I don't know where you're going next. And maybe you don't either. That's okay. If you show up every day willing to say, okay, I got up, that's a huge step. It's a huge step. Cheers to that, right? It's a huge step. For those steps to bring you here to Camp Widow, again, a huge step. A huge step. And when people say to you, oh, so are you good? Are you feeling better today? There's so many fun answers to that question. It's okay to not be okay. And that's what you came here to find out. It's okay to not be okay. Are you great today? Actually, no, I'm not. I promise you, they'll run. So, just decide how you want to answer the question. If it's somebody you want to engage with, you can malter your answer, or you can say, no, I feel horrible. Woo! Really, when you hear people say, use the widow card, it's great. That's what you use it for. Run for the hills. Once you find your voice, I want to challenge you to speak for this community. Because if we don't, I promise you, no one will. Why? Because they're scared of us. And I'm right. They're afraid because you can't undo death. And really, do you blame them? I'm not. I wish I could be afraid of you and me. I do. I was probably. That's the truth. I probably was. But what I've learned now is that if we don't speak for us, then the people who are coming after us have nobody. And if any of you lived that experience, you got nobody, you know what that means. Now, I'm going to ask you, how are you going to use your voice? How are you going to use your unique voice? Because nobody sounds like you. And though I want there to be a voice for widowhood, I hope it's a huge clamor. I hope it's the place where, I promise you, in this hotel, they're like, where is all that noise coming from? It's the widow people. Nuh-uh. Oh, yeah, it is. Saturday night? Yep, that's the widows too. How amazing. How amazing is that? And it's all because you're willing to be here. But I'm going to challenge you to step farther. Because unless we create a community, there will not be one. If somebody stamps you on the head and says, all done, and you walk away, you're right, all done. Your widowhood journey's not over. That's pretend. Somebody said to me, why do you allow the remarried widows to come to camp? My first thought was, who would run it if we didn't? But my second thought was this: your widow journey is not over because you move into a new relationship. And I hope that it's enhanced. And that walking around and finding out that other people have not only lived through this, but found a way to thrive and to create a new relationship and be a part of something good and beautiful again, that they're willing to risk. Here's the glitch. They're willing to risk doing it again. What does that say about your partner? What does that say? I have an amazing partner because I'm willing, I'll do this again if I have to, because I get to love him now. That was not an easy decision to make. And I know that you all know that. I stared that one down for a good long time. Do I really want to do this again? Because I can't unlearn what I know, which is that he can die. He will die. We did make a pact that he has to wait till I die, but I'm not sure how that's going to work out. I encourage you to try to find somebody who's willing to do that for you. What I see when I look at you is hope. And that's why the theme for this camp is Hope Matters. Because we can make a difference. The first year for this camp, there was half this many people. That was only 3 years ago. If you go home and you tell people about where you've been, please tell the people who aren't widowed. Because guess what? They could have someone die tomorrow. And do you know what you've done? You've given them a home before they need it. They don't want to hear about it, trust me. But it doesn't matter because they won't be able to unlearn what they know. And if they know this exists and then their brother-in-law or their sister-in-law dies, guess who they call? They know. And we remove a tiny bit of the helplessness of death, right? Because there's nothing we can do about it. And the reason we make people so uncomfortable is because they can't fix us. And they badly want to. Badly want to. because they love you.